Hi, today we're going to be talking about the art of Paleolithic people. Remember, there's Neolithic culture and Paleolithic culture. Paleolithic culture is the old culture, and Neolithic culture is the new culture of the Stone Age. You'll see the picture off to the right here is of the woman of Willendorf, or the Venus of Willendorf. She is a very fertile figure with large breasts and large hips to illustrate that in ancient culture, a woman who could birth and provide milk for a child was a godsend to a community. Here you see some of the ancient archers and huntsmen. We sometimes think of them as being these really ugly people, but they probably looked a lot like our Native Americans. They probably lived by riverbanks. They probably slaughtered bison and animals and had dogs that helped them. They had lived in lean-tos and probably worked in caves. Here you see a actual head from a skull of an ancient person. Remember, we have Cro-Magnon, Neanderthal, and then we have the later Homo sapien, the man who knows, that arrives, that really becomes the first painters. Here we have a painting from the Lascaux caves in France. We also have paintings from the Altamira caves. We have many caves throughout Europe that have paintings that we've discovered in recent years, in the last century, that have paintings over 30 to 40,000 years of age. Now, they don't look that great, but remember they're composing these paintings on rock walls, and they are only using the most fragmentary sticks to paint with, and they only have berries and juices and very primitive tools to work with to do the painting. But they still do a remarkable job for paintings that are 30 to 40,000 years old, that have been unprotected for 30 to 40,000 years, showing bisons, showing deer, showing horses, and sometimes even showing people carrying objects. Every once in a while you'll see a handprint where the artist is sort of saying, "This is me, I'm the man who made this painting." And we don't know whether it was men or women that made the paintings. By the way, this is an actual sort of distant shot of the actual Lascaux caves, and you can see the paintings adorn the upper regions of the wall, so they might have even had to stand on stands to make the paintings. And here you're going to see a group of people in the Altamira caves in Spain looking at the remarkable paintings on the ceiling of the Altamira caves. Now remember, there are paintings in Russia, paintings in Germany, paintings in France, paintings in Spain, paintings in Italy and Sicily, all throughout Europe. Here's the Altamira caves again with little stalactites hanging from the ceiling, as you can see, and these are pretty vast caves. Many times ancient people did not live in the caves. They simply painted in them and they would go outside to live. Here again is the Venus of Willendorf. Notice the large breasts, not particularly for a sexual reason, but to illustrate fertility, to illustrate that this is a woman who could give birth and give nourishment to a child. And remember, largeness and people that were chubby was very rare in this time. So what we really have is we have a valorization of fertility. And you can see here in the lower right-hand side, we actually have some people in paintings. And you can see in the center we have paintings of hands. Here are some of the sites where paintings have been found throughout Europe, in Switzerland, in France, in Italy, in Spain, in Czechoslovakia, Romania. Even in Turkey, we have wall paintings and cave paintings that have been found. And you can see in the upper corner Stonehenge. Stonehenge, remember, stone, literally the material it's made out of, and henge, the term that means circle. So a circle of stone, that's a very ancient circle that was shown to be perhaps an astrolabe or an astrological space, perhaps a clock for illustrating what time of day or what time of year it was, maybe some sort of almanac for letting the farmers know when to plant, perhaps a ritual burial ground, although we haven't found bones there, but perhaps maybe a ceremonial ground where people would actually come, look at the stars together. Some people have suggested that it could be a place for druid ceremonies, where the druids in ancient religion would do human sacrifice. But again, we haven't really found any bones, so that's probably not the case. It was probably more of an astrological space for looking at the stars, discovering what time of year it was, discovering when it was time to plant. It served a basic function. And again, these stones were quarried probably miles away and had to be leveraged on large wooden planks, and they probably had to be rolled many miles to get there because there are no stones in the area. So putting the stones there was quite a technological and archaeological achievement for these people in this time. Here we have a picture. In the center you see Ron Perlman, a very young Ron Perlman in 1981. This is Quest for Fire, a film about early man, and their outfits sort of look almost like rock stars from the 1980s. But it's a very fearsome portrayal of early man and their quest for fire. They have, as you can see, they have sort of the little fire stick that they carry with them, and when it goes out, they struggle to try to regain their fire. One of the prettier aspects of it is there is a little bit of makeup that some of the women wear, and some of the women wear these dark-eyed makeup, make them look very beautiful, very exotic, and their hairstyles are extremely curled. Again, sort of like the perms that were popular in the 1980s. So even though it's trying to be a realistic film, it probably isn't terribly realistic of what cavemen look like. It's a little extreme, sort of a little goth looking. The next film that's probably just as important in 1986 is The Clan of the Cave Bear, starring Daryl Hannah. And again, there's this extreme makeup, which you might have found in a Duran Duran video of the time. Girls on film or some other film, or Wild Boys would have the same kind of wild makeup. But, you know, this was the time of Braveheart, too, so wild makeup for ancient people was suggested to be real. In the novels that were extremely popular in the 1980s, these were novels primarily written for women, about women, showed that Ayla, played by Daryl Hannah in the movie, is the smartest of the tribespeople. She is considered to be, I think, a Homo sapien, a new person. And the people around her are mostly Neanderthal and Cro-Magnon, and she basically leads the tribes to greater glory because she knows more, she's smarter, she has a greater forebrain, she can figure out how to heal things, she can take care of the men. So it's really sort of a feminist novel, but it probably suggests that maybe some of the leaders might have been women, and these might have been matriarchal societies. And here we have a meeting around, the tribe. Here we have some pictures from Frank Frazetta, who was a very, very popular artist in the 1960s and 70s. And he did a lot of paintings of what's called the Hyborian Age, the age of Conan, that age between sort of the Stone Age and when human beings actually began to form civilized cultures. And as you can see here, he has very exotic-looking men and women who look very powerful, and they're controlling these large beasts, probably from this Stone Age culture. Fanciful, but maybe not so fanciful. Maybe people really were this robust. One of the more popular films recently about the Stone Age is a film called 10,000 BC. Here the hairstyles are much more like contemporary rocker hairstyles again. The characters are very handsome, have very good tooth care, which they probably wouldn't have had. And you can see in the film there are very, very large saber-toothed tigers, very large mammoths, very large creatures all around them with great special effects. But the heroes themselves are very handsome, very attractive looking, look like beachcombers, kind of today. And they've got lots of pecs and lots of muscles, and even though they're wearing kind of, scanty clothing, they're definitely made to look really super attractive in the movie. So a little taste of what this early art must have been like in this period. And as you can see, here's one of the women dressed in almost what looks like a more modern kind of coat, going through the cold Antarctic marshes and the fjords of Europe in that time. So I hope this gives you just a little sense of what it was like for Paleolithic art.